Are you a motherless daughter? What if we told you we have 20 years worth of truth treasures, pearls of wisdom, and diamonds of hope to help you with your mother loss? We do, and we share all things mother loss on Nurturing Words, Voices of Experience, a podcast by the Motherless Daughters Ministry. Give yourself some self-care and listen as we discuss grief, regret, anger, redemption, closure, and so much more.
Hi, welcome to episode number 31. Thank you for spending some of your time with us. Today, after we hear the blog about the Neon Year, we have the author in the studio with us. Mary Ellen Collins, the founder and executive director of the Motherless Daughters Ministry, is going to do a little oyster diving for pearls about this topic. And now, let's hear the blog. I have a friend named Kim who just celebrated her 52nd birthday. She is happy and she is scared. This is the year. She is fearful. She doesn't want to leave her husband, kids, and family. She's not sick, no horrible diagnosis, no impending loss of life. And yet, she is on the verge of tears most days. At every turn, the blink, you are next. This is the year. She tries hard to focus on the here and now, but the sign glares in her mind and drives her to the edge. You see, it is her neon year. The lights are flashing. The feeling of impending doom lives in her every thought. She knows this is the year. This is the year she will leave all of her loved ones behind. After all, that is what happened to her. Kim is not crazy, although you may have judged her in the opening paragraphs, nor is she having a mental health breakdown. She is the same age as her mother was when her mother died. Her mother was 52, and now Kim is 52. Kim has hit her neon year. When this happens, a motherless daughter spins out of control emotionally and cannot understand why. We are so connected to the image of mother. Our psyche plays games with us when we hit the same age of mother loss. We think we are going to die too. One woman described her behavior in this way. I found myself acting out strange behaviors when I hit my neon year. I worried what my husband and children would do without me. I wanted to make sure everything was taken care of. I had a will made up to naming a guardian who would take care of my children when I died. For me personally, my neon year coincided with a very critical surgery. I was overwhelmed with anxiety leading up to the surgery. I began what I called a nesting preparation for my departure. I even asked a stepdaughter to help my then unwed youngest daughter with her wedding whenever it would happen. I was sure I would not be there. After the surgery, I had a respiratory arrest and almost really died. When I recovered, I remembered I was the same age as my mother was when she died. What happens and what can we do when we hit the neon year, or even when it is approaching? I encourage you to recognize it first. Awareness is the first step. It is real. You are not crazy. The fears relate to your loss. Next, find a way to talk about it. A close friend, a family member, someone who you have a relationship with and loves you, someone who gets it. For me, this is when I began writing and journaling. I would barf out every emotion into a journal. Then, when I went back to read it, it was like having a conversation with myself. Then I would share it. Sharing is the piece that must happen. Sharing keeps it real. Talking about it was cathartic. So what happens after the neon year? You made it, but now what? This next phase can be exhilarating and scary. You no longer have a role model. You have known what it is like to be a woman up to your age of loss. You have had a role model for years. Now you do not. Ah, yes, but now you can create your own role model. You can decide what you want to be. The world is your oyster. Freedom is yours for the taking. Go for it. We're going to take a short break to tell you about a resource, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion.
You are not alone. In fact, Motherless Daughters Ministry has nearly 10,000 women from all over the globe who are ready to support you. Where can you find these women? On our Facebook page at Motherless Daughters Ministry. There, you will find blog posts, videos, and nurturing conversations. Just type Motherless Daughters Ministry in the Facebook search bar. We can't wait for you to visit.
We've come to the part of the podcast where we go oyster diving for pearls from today's episode. We've got Mary Ellen Collins in the studio with us, who is our founder and executive director. Mary Ellen, welcome.
Thank you very much, Gladys. I appreciate being here.
Well, we know that you created this blog some time ago, and we were hoping to get some updates on this topic.
Well, the blog I wrote, what was the year of the blog? 2000 what? Do you remember? Anyway, the thing is, it doesn't make any difference when I wrote the blog. We're talking about a process that happened to all of us, regardless of the kind of mother loss that we have experienced, whether it's loss through death, emotional absence, or whether it's a mother who is narcissistic characteristics, there is always a neon year. And that is when there is this feeling of impending doom because you are reaching the same age that you experienced mother loss. So regardless of what age that is, for instance, with me, I experienced mother loss at 16. So I had an episode then that I will tell you about that is not the neon year. The neon year is when I actually physically lost my mother to death when she was 52. And when I turned 52, I thought I was going to die too. So It is that feeling of impending doom. And what I mentioned was that my age of loss, where I actually physically lost her to death, was 16.
I also want to make sure and talk about a little bit about what happens when you have a daughter that reaches your age of loss. Now, that's not the neon year, but it definitely is a year that just really shakes you to your core. I can remember when my daughter hit 16, because I was 15 when my mother died, when my age of loss. When that happens, you think that you're going to die too. And so what I did was I prepared my daughter. She could cook, she could clean, she could write a check, she could manage a checkbook, all those things so that she could survive without me.
So I was getting her ready. Now, that's not the neon year. The neon year is when you actually are approaching the age that when you lost your mother. So I really think that it is so important for a woman to realize that is going to happen. You don't dance around it. It's going to happen.
I did look back and see when that blog was written. That was in 2017. But like you said, regardless of when it was written, the concept is the same.
Right, absolutely. Well, it's the writing of the material, not the actual kind of it. The event is common through our lifetime, and for everybody experiences that. Yeah.
I think I recalled you saying that this is evergreen material.
Yes.
So whenever we talk about it, it's appropriate and it's current.
Yes, it is always current. There's nothing about this that gets old. It happens to every one of us when we're approaching that age. And see, the thing is, too, that women have to realize it's not just death. When you have experienced emotional absence, whatever that age you were, if you were 6 or you were 8 or, whatever it may be, that age is your neon year. That is your
Right.
neon year. So understand that that age will come up and it will hit you, and you need to be ready. And I think probably the most important thing that people have to know, that women have to, it's normal. It is
Yeah.
normal. So awareness of that is the first thing. It's real. It's going to happen. You don't dance around it. Like I said before, it is real. So that's one of the first pieces to understand.
In the blog, you mentioned how you handled that when it came along. And you mentioned journaling as one of the ways. Can you speak a
Mhm.
little bit about that and maybe some other ways that could be handled?
Well, I tell you that there's some place we have to put our stuff someplace. So we have to find some place to put it. I always say to barf it out. It means it has to be come out some way.
Yeah.
So, some of us are writers. We love to write and we journal. Some of us are talkers, and it may be our journaling is an oral journal. So we talk
Okay.
to ourselves, we record ourselves and talk to us. And then you go back and listen to it. I used to do this in business practice, and I said my business partner was very insightful because I would be talking to myself and answering myself back. But the other thing, too, I think that this is a time that you really need to have some really strong support system, really strong support system. So that may be a spouse, a significant other, it may be a good friend who's gone through it, it may be a counselor, because this may be the time that you really need to have that support. And always have us in the Motherless Daughters Ministry. We've been there. We know what it's like.
Absolutely. And support is one of the foundation crucial elements for dealing with grief. So not only during the grief, but also the neon year, this is still important. So finding those support systems and maintaining a circle of support is very, very important.
There's one other thing I think that is scary is when you hit that neon year, you may have known what it was like to be a mother or an adult up to that time, and then what happens next? So it's scary because there's no instruction manual. There's no place to turn and say, "Oh, that's what I'm supposed to be like at such and such age." But the exciting thing is, you could write your own manual.
Well,
You
for the person that's not very assertive or outgoing, how do you find those models?
models meaning
How you map out that future, how you know how to behave during that time. Where do you find that example?
I would say one of the best places to go is with the Motherless Stars Ministry because we walk there, and many of us have gone through that neon year and have experienced that and can help walk with you.
When we look at the Motherless Daughters Ministry, will you tell the audience about the different ways that they can get support through the ministry?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, we offer support groups every Monday, our support groups. So they're very niche specific, whether it's a general mother loss, whether it's, and that's the first Monday. The second Monday is for women who've experienced emotional absence. The third Monday is always going to be for daughters of the narcissistic mother. And the fourth Monday is another general mother loss. So those are consistent every Monday that we do that, with the exception of holidays. The other thing is the courses, and and right now there's an emotionally absent mother course coming up at the end of May, and that's a 6-week course. And we have courses on daughters of the narcissistic mother. We have courses on the journey. So there's blogs and there's podcasts and there's videos. There is so much support there for you.
Mary Ellen, speak a little bit about the followers on our Facebook page for people who may speak other languages and that are from different countries.
Well, our Facebook followers we have over 10,000. It keeps growing. And it's from multiple countries. So we reach out to women all over the world. So it's international. I was always amazed when I dig into some of the analytics to figure out who we've reached. And it is absolutely amazing to know all the people in the different countries that we've reached.
I have one other question. Usually, when a woman reaches the neon age, she most likely has a family. Is there a way to prepare your family for what's going on at that time?
You better, because they're clueless. You're going along at one level, and suddenly, I will tell you that, give you myself as an example, I'll finish my statement first. Suddenly, all of a sudden, you start acting kind of crazy. And they think, what is wrong with her? She's gone off the deep end. And it's really a natural thing that you are getting ready to leave. You're getting ready to leave. And with me, what I did was basically I was preparing things. I made sure that, the wills were made and custody was taken care of, because I knew I was going to die. I knew I was going to die. Mm-hmm. And I call it a nesting, that I was getting ready to check out. And so I had things organized. I had cleaned out my closet. I had made a list of where things would go, because I knew I was going to die. So you get a little crazy. You get a little crazy thinking, and nobody really gets it, because you've changed and they don't know. Plus, there's this other thing that happens to us, that it may be that we're in premenopause or menopause. And the combination of the two will make us a little wacky. So,
well, on the positive side of that, sometimes a reaction could be that because we know what the physical condition was or what caused the passing or the losing of your mom, you can prevent things and create a healthier environment for yourself to prevent things from happening.
Oh, yeah. And for instance, my mother died of breast cancer. Well, I'm just adamant about breast health. So keeping on top of things like that. So.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a marvelous conversation, Mary Ellen. Is there anything else that you want to add about the neon year? This has been very enlightening.
Just that it's going to happen to all of us. You do not tiptoe around it. You don't try to slide through it. It will happen to you. So get ready, because it will come.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today. And I do know that you've added something to the website where people can be coached. If someone would like to talk with you about this further, how can they do that?
Well, there's two things that we have added. One is informational calls. So we have some free 15-minute informational calls. And that, is just information seeking and how they could use the Motherless Daughters Ministry or whatever. And then we do have coaching set up too. So that is a fee-based. And so if you want to dig in a little farther and a little deeper, that is available for you also.
Well, we've been very, very delighted to have you on the podcast today. And of course, you have a standing invitation. So we'd like to thank you again for coming and being on the podcast, and keep an invitation out for everyone to contact us if you want any further information. We're here for you.
Thank you very much. And Gladys, I appreciate your work and all you do for the ministry.
Why, thank you so much. And we hope you have a blessed day and have enjoyed this podcast. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
If you are in need of more nurturing words, we encourage you to listen to our other episodes. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you can join us next time. We don't want to miss you. We have many Motherless Daughter resources on our website at www.motherlessdaughtersministry.com. You can also find us on our YouTube channel and Facebook at Motherless Daughters Ministry, where you will find support from over 10,000 women. We hope you'll come visit us, and we look forward to joining us next time.